Good morning and thanks for joining us for our midday newscast. I'm Ginger Conejero-Saab.
And I'm Scott McGrew. We begin with that breaking new development about the National Guard troops deployed in Los Angeles. In just moments, we do expect to hear from California Attorney General Rob Bonta challenging the federalization of those California troops by President Trump. Right now, 300 members of California's 79th Infantry Brigade are deployed. President Trump plans to call for as many as 2,000. The president says they're supporting local law enforcement following opposition to his federal immigration raids. Brand new video into our newsroom shows federal agents outside the Whittier Courthouse and Library within the hour. Also at this hour, LA Unified School District Superintendent is saying federal vans are parked within 2 blocks of public schools.
Over the weekend, there were some clashes with law enforcement over what they describe as, quote, outside agitators. This is new video from the federal building outside of Los Angeles, where you can see troops are stationed overnight. About 56 people have been arrested in Southern California for the weekend protest. 60 people, meanwhile, were taken into custody following solidarity protests here in the Bay Area. And now Mexican officials say 42 Mexicans were detained during those federal raids. Governor Newsom says he never asked for federal troops, accusing Trump of trying to remedy a situation he himself started with immigration raids and deportations without due process. He says California plans to file a new lawsuit to challenge the president's actions.
Now, as Governor Newsom plans to sue, the president posted that the only thing the governor should be saying is thank you for sending in the National Guard. NBC Bay Area's Kris Sanchez joins us from the newsroom. Kris, the governor accusing Trump of claiming to solve a problem that he himself created.
That's right. So as we stand by for that Attorney General press conference, we'll tell you that Governor Newsom says that where the LA protests are concerned, President Trump lit the flame with immigration raids and deportations without due process, then fueled the fire by sending in the National Guard without the governor's consent. Early this morning, the president posted on Truth Social, "We made a great decision in sending in the National Guard to deal with the violent instigated riots in California. If we had not done so," he said, "Los Angeles would have been completely obliterated." Then just a few hours later, arriving at the White House on Marine One, President Trump called the protesters in LA professional agitators, insurrectionists, and bad people. And in regard to border czar Tom Homan's threat to arrest Governor Newsom and the mayor of LA, the president said he'd do it if he were the border czar. Newsom reacted on X, saying the president of the United States just called for the arrest of a sitting governor. "This is a day I hoped I would never see in America." The governor goes on to say, "I don't care if you are a Democrat or a Republican. This is a line we cannot cross as a nation. This is an unmistakable step toward authoritarianism." The Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 is what forbids the use of the military against civilians unless Congress gives approval or in the event of a rebellion or with the consent of the governor, as we saw in LA during the firestorms in January. This is the aftermath of the protests outside the ICE offices in San Francisco. Those protests last night, you can see by daylight, there's graffiti, broken windows there. And as you can see from the video from last night, only San Francisco police responded, not the National Guard. Within the last few minutes, interim police chief Paul Yep said about 148 people were arrested citywide, including 68 on Montgomery Street. A Bay Area union leader who was arrested in LA on Friday, David Huerta, is to face a judge today on charges of conspiracy to impede an officer tied to an immigration enforcement raid last week. Today, San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie thanked peaceful protesters and said he understands why people are protesting the tactics of the Trump administration.
The tactics being used across the country to target immigrant communities are meant to instill fear. Those tactics make members of our community less likely to work with law enforcement to report crimes and criminals.
Now, there are several protests happening today, a 4 o'clock news conference at San Francisco City Hall. But that 4:30 protest you see there at San Jose City Hall, that is to rally and call for the release of that union leader. At 6 o'clock, there will be a mass march and mobilization starting at the 24th and Mission BART station in San Francisco. We hope that everything remains peaceful and quiet. Of course, we'll follow it for you either way. Ginger?
Thanks a lot, Chris. So with immigration at the center of this conflict, we remind you the Immigration Institute of the Bay Area has created red cards for anyone detained or questioned by ICE officers. It summarizes what your rights are and how to exercise them. So scan the QR code on your screen to download and have one wherever you go. It is available in 8 different languages, including Spanish, Tagalog, and Korean.